on this question, they're asking us how many votes were cast. So that's right across the top. Those are total number of votes. So 12 plus 8 plus 15 plus 9 plus 7. If you add that up, and grab my calculator. Click there. I'm getting 51. Okay. Next question. How many votes are needed for a majority? What does majority mean? Majority means more than half. So therefore, you got to take that 51, you get it divided by 2. You got to find out what half of it is. If you do that, you're going to get 25.5. Oops. And then, but you got to get more than half. So this is 25.5 is exactly half. Exactly half. And we want more than half. So that'd be 26 is more than half. In other words, it's a majority. Oops, bring it over here. So 26, my pin's lagging so much. There we go. 26 is a majority. It's more than half. So to find a majority, you got to take the total number of votes, divide by 2, that's half, and then you got to go more than that. More than half is a majority. Okay, so the question is, does any candidate have a majority of first place votes? So they're just talking about first place votes. So I'm just looking at these. I don't care about second right now. I don't care about second, third, or fourth. Majority first place votes. Well, how many does A have? A has none. I don't see any for A. B, how many does B have? B is right there, has 8. And right there, B has got, oops, missed that a little bit. B has got 8 and 9, which is 17. How many does C have? C has right here, 7. And finally, how many does D have? D has this and this, 12 and 15, huh? Which is 27. So yes, D has a majority, right? That's more than 26. 26 or more is a majority. D has 27 first place votes. So D has more than half of the first place votes. Okay, so let's move on. Now, find the winner. Find the winner under board account. Use the count that assigns 1 point to last place. So now they want me to do the election using the board account method. So what is the board account method? Well, you're going to put 1 point for last place, 2 points. Make this a little bigger here. 3. Oops, that was not good. Let's do the same thing here. 3 points and 4 points. These are the points. Does that make sense? It said 1 point for last place. So I put 1 point on the last place, and then it goes up by 1 every time. So it might help you just to cross these out so you don't get confused with these. So now we're going to do the board account method. Let's start with A. How many does A get? Well, A is right here. 12 people gave A 2 points each. 12 times 2 plus. And here's A. 8 people also gave A 2 points each, right? Is that making sense? These are 8 people, 8 voters, and they each gave A 2 points. And then these 12 voters also each gave A 2 points because it's 1 point for last place. That's the worst. That's the lowest point you get. And then it goes up 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now, how about these 15 people? They put A last. These 15 people just gave A 1 vote, 1 point each plus. And then here's A here. These 9 people gave A 3 points each. 9 times 3. And then lastly, these 7 people, there's A, gave A 3. So if you add all that up for A, we'll do that on my calculator. I'm getting 103. So A got 103. Okay, let's keep going. So that's A. Okay, do that all now again for B. So B, so here's B. It's 12 times 3. 12 people gave B 3 points. Here's B. 8 people gave B 4 points. Plus, here's B. 15 people gave B 3 points. 15 times 3. Plus, here's B. 9 people gave B 4 points. And here's B. 7 people gave B 1 point. Add all that up on your calculator. Getting 156. That's a lot of points. All right, I'm going to do C next. So C, I have to get some of this out of the way here. C, where's C? C's here. That's 12 people gave C 1 point. C's here. 8 people gave C 3 points. And C's here. 15 people gave C 2 points. And C's here. 9 people gave C 2 points. And C's here. 7 people gave C 4 points. And all that up on your calculator. I'm getting 112. And finally, D. So here's D right here. 12 people gave D 4 points. Here's D here. 8 people gave D 1 point. Here's D here. 15 people gave D 4 points. Here's D right here. 9 people gave D 1 point. And here's D here. 7 people gave D 2 points. Add that up. I'm getting 139 points. All right. So here's the board account numbers that we've got here. So the board account numbers, 103 for A, 156 for B, 112 for C, 139 for D. So who won? Who got the most? Well, B. B with 156. The winner is B. Boy, just such a flag. With 156. Okay, now, does that violate our sense of fairness? Right down here it says, which fairness criteria, if any, were violated? What do they mean by that? Well, they mean, let me show you. Here's the four fairness criteria from your notes. First off, there's the majority criterion. And that says, if any candidate has a majority, that candidate should win. And that makes sense, doesn't it? These are fairness criterion. These are ideas of fairness. So it makes sense. That feels right, doesn't it? If anybody has a majority of first place votes, if anybody has more than half of the first place votes, if they're getting more, if more than half of the people like them as the first choice, it's their favorite choice for more than half of the people, that person should win the election, right? So let's come back here. Remember, D right here had a majority of first place votes. Remember, D had 27. That was more than 26. That was more than half, right? There's only 51 votes total. I think it's off the screen now, but I think it was right here. I think it was 51 votes total. 51 total votes. 26 is more than half of that. So D had 27 first place votes. So D should win this election. But when I did board account, who won? Somebody else. B as in boy won instead of D as in dog. That's not fair, right? So that violates the head-to-head criterion, also called Condorcet. Head-to-head was first put forward by this French guy named Condorcet. So coming on down here. But wait, I'm sorry, I'm getting confused. Let me try that again. Majority criterion. I'll get to that other one in a minute, but majority, right? Majority, that's what we just said. That violates the majority criterion because D ended up, D had a majority. D had more than half of the first place votes, so D should win the election. But B actually won when we did the election using the board account method. So the board account method, deciding the method that way. Remember, there's 4 ways to decide who wins an election. We're going to try 4 different ways. One of them is plurality. That's the first one we did, right? Plurality just says, hey, whoever gets the most first place, they win. We don't care about second place, third place, fourth place. That's what we do in America. We vote the president or most other offices. We just say, who got the most first place? That's plurality. And in that case, D would have won because D had more than half of the first place vote. So D would certainly win. But when we did the election using board account, which is the other system where you put all the points on everything, you start with the 1, the 2, the 3, and the 4, and you do all the points. B actually won the election. Somebody different than D won it because B had more points. So that doesn't seem fair. That violates the majority criterion, the idea that whoever has a majority should win. Well, somebody else won, so that violates majority criterion. It's also going to violate the head-to-head criterion, which is also called Condorcet. Why? Why is it going to do that? Well, let me go down and show you the Condorcet criterion. Here it is. Head-to-head, Condorcet. That says if anybody wins all the 1-to-1 head-to-heads, then they should win the election. They're called a Condorcet candidate. It's the Condorcet criterion. If anybody wins all their head-to-head, goes by either name, head-to-head or Condorcet, same thing. If anybody wins all the head-to-head matches, the 1-to-1, they should win the election. I'm telling you that D is going to win all the head-to-head matchups in this one. Why? Because D has a majority. D as in dog. D has more than half. So if you put up D against A or B or C in head-to-head matchup, if I did D, let me try this. If I did D versus A, D would win. Why? Because D has more than half. If I did D versus B, who would win? D would win because D has more than half. If I did D versus C, who's going to win? Well, D would win because D has more than half. If you have more than half, then the other guy has less than half, right? So I don't even need to do all the 1-to-1s. I know we've done that before. I don't even need to do that whole thing. Well, why? How do I know? Because D has more than half, majority. I already know what the answer is. If somebody has more than half, automatically they win all the 1-to-1s. And if they win all the 1-to-1s, they should win the election, shouldn't they? Yeah, that's what Condorcet said. That's the head-to-head criterion. But actually, somebody else won when we did the board account method. We did the counting the points. B won. And so that's a violation of the head-to-head criterion. It's also a violation of the majority criterion. And so there we go.